Have you ever wondered how some people achieve unimaginable wealth and power without resorting to force or conflict? What if the secrets to building an empire lie not in strength, but in wisdom? Meet King Solomon, the wisest ruler in history, who amassed unparalleled riches and influence without ever lifting a sword. Yet, his strategies remain hidden, locked away in the pages of time. If you ever felt stuck, struggling to achieve your goals, or wondering how to create lasting success, this is for you. What if the answers you've been searching for were discovered thousands of years ago? In this video, we'll uncover the untold secrets of Solomon, proven principles that can transform your life, help you overcome obstacles, and guide you toward building your own empire of wealth and power. Ready to unlock the wisdom of the ages? Let's begin. Let's go to the first secret. But first, just check if you're subscribed to the channel, because in the next videos, there will be a series of content that will tell you more about various Bible characters. 1. Salomão's prominence. Known as one of the wealthiest and most prosperous kings, Salomão succeeded his father, King Davi, and is renowned for his wisdom and the construction of the first temple of Jerusalem. The story of King Salomão begins in a time of great transition for the nation of Israel. His father, King Davi, had been a mighty warrior, a man after God's own heart, who united the tribes of Israel and established Jerusalem as its eternal capital. But as Davi's reign came to an end, the mantle of leadership fell upon Salomão, his son. This was no ordinary succession. It was the beginning of an era that would be remembered for centuries to come. Salomão was not the obvious choice of king. He was not the eldest son, nor did he have the battle-hardened reputation of his father. Yet, it was Salomão who was chosen by God to carry forward the legacy of Israel. Why? Because Salomão possessed something far more valuable than strength or experience: a heart inclined toward wisdom. When God appeared to Salomão in a dream and offered to grant him anything he desired, Salomão could have asked for wealth, power, or long life. Instead, he humbly requested wisdom to govern God's people justly. This request pleased God so much that he not only granted Salomão unparalleled wisdom, but also blessed him with riches and honor beyond measure. And so, Salomão's reign began with divine favor. He quickly became known as the wisest king in history, a ruler whose judgments were so profound that people from distant lands traveled to hear his counsel. One of the most famous examples of his wisdom is the story of two women who came to him, each claiming to be the mother of the same baby. Salomão, in a stroke of genius, suggested cutting the child in half to reveal the true mother's love. His wisdom not only resolved the dispute, but also showcased his ability to discern truth in the most challenging situations. But Salomão's prominence wasn't just about wisdom, it was also about prosperity. Under his rule, Israel entered a golden age of wealth and peace. Unlike his father, who had spent much of his reign at war, Salomão built his empire through diplomacy, trade, and strategic alliances. He married the daughters of foreign kings to secure peace treaties and establish trade routes that brought gold, silver, ivory, and exotic goods to Jerusalem. The Bible tells us that silver became as common as stones in Salomão's kingdom, and his wealth was so vast that it was almost beyond comprehension. One of Salomão's greatest achievements was the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. This was no ordinary building. It was a magnificent structure designed to be the dwelling place of God on earth. Salomão spared no expense in its creation, using the finest materials, including cedar wood from Lebanon and gold from Ophir. The temple took 7 years to build and became the center of Israel's spiritual life, a symbol of God's presence among his people. Yet, Salomão's story is not without its complexities. Despite his wisdom, he was not immune to human flaws. His many wives, though politically advantageous, led him astray, and he began to worship their foreign gods. This disobedience would later bring consequences to his kingdom. But even in his imperfections, Salomão's legacy endures as a testament to the power of wisdom, the blessings of God, and the heights that can be achieved when a leader seeks to rule with justice and integrity. So, what can we learn from Salomão's prominence? His life reminds us that true success is not just about wealth or power. It's about seeking wisdom, making wise choices, and using our blessings to honor God and serve others. As we delve deeper into the untold secrets of Salomão, we'll uncover how his principles can still guide us today in building our own empires of wealth, influence, and purpose. Stay tuned. This is just a beginning. 2. Family background. He was the son of Davi and Bathsheba, born into a family filled with political intrigue, which included struggles for the throne. To truly understand Salomão's rise to prominence, we must first delve into the intricate and often dramatic family background that shaped his destiny. Salomão was the son of King Davi and Bathsheba, a union that was born out of both scandal and redemption, a story that would forever mark Salomão's life and reign. Davi, known as a man after God's own heart, was a legendary figure in Israel's history. A shepherd boy turned warrior, he defeated the giant Goliath, united the tribe of Israel, and established Jerusalem as the nation's capital. Yet, Davi was also a man of deep flaws. His affair with Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah, one of his most loyal soldiers, led a chain of events that would haunt his family for generations. After learning that Bathsheba was pregnant, Davi orchestrated Uriah's death in battle to cover up his sin. Though Davi repented and was forgiven by God, the consequences of his actions rippled through his household. Bathsheba, whose name means daughter of the oath, was more than just a footnote in this story. She was a woman of resilience, navigating complexities of a royal court filled with political intrigue and personal tragedy. After the death of her first husband, she became Davi's wife and the mother of Salomão. Her influence on Salomão's life cannot be understated. She likely instilled in him the values of wisdom, humility, and the importance of seeking God's guidance. Salomão was born into a family that was as much a battlefield as it was a royal dynasty. Davi's household was marked by rivalry, betrayal, and even violence among his children. One of the most tragic examples was the story of Amnon, Davi's eldest son, who violated his half-sister Tamar. This act led to a bitter feud between Amnon and Tamar's brother, Absalom, who eventually killed Amnon in revenge. Absalom's rebellion against Davi further fractured the family, culminating in a civil war that threatened to tear the kingdom apart. Amidst this turmoil, Salomão's path to the throne was anything but straightforward. He was not Davi's firstborn son, and by tradition, the crown should have gone to one of his older brothers. However, through a series of divine interventions and political maneuvers, Salomão emerged as the chosen successor. His mother, Bathsheba, played a crucial role in securing his future, reminding Davi of a promise he had made to her that Salomão would inherit the throne. When Davi was old and nearing the end of his life, the struggle for power intensified. Adonias, another of Davi's sons, declared himself king, bypassing Salomão. But with the support of the prophet Nathan, the priest Zadok, and Bathsheba, Davi reaffirmed a commitment to Salomão. In a dramatic ceremony, Salomão was anointed king, riding into Jerusalem on Davi's own mule, a powerful symbol of legitimacy and divine favor. Salomão's family background is a tapestry of triumph and tragedy, sin and redemption. It's a story that reminds us that even those destined for greatness are shaped by the complexities of their past. From the scandalous beginnings of his parents' relationship to the fierce battles for the throne, Salomão's journey to kingship was anything but ordinary. Yet, it was through these trials that he learned the importance of wisdom, justice, and reliance on God, lessons that would define his reign and leave an indelible mark on history. As we explore the life of Salomão, we see how his family's struggles and triumphs laid the foundation for his extraordinary legacy. Stay with us as we uncover how the son of Davi and Bathsheba rose above the chaos of his upbringing to become one of the most renowned kings in history. What about you? Had you heard this story before? Did you know it existed? Drop a comment if you knew this part of the story, because in the next videos, there will be a series of content that will tell you more about even more Bible characters. 3. Succession to the throne. Salomão was crowned king after the death of Davi, with support from key figures like Bathsheba and the prophet Nathan, overcoming challenges from his half-brother Adonias. The story of Salomão's rise to the throne is a tale of divine providence, political intrigue, and the unwavering support of key figures who believed in his destiny. It's a chapter filled with tension, drama, and ultimately, triumph, a fitting prelude to the reign of one of history's wisest kings. As King Davi grew old and frail, the question of who would succeed him loomed large over the kingdom. In a royal household as vast and complex as Davi's, the line of succession was anything but clear. Davi had many sons, each with their own ambitions and alliances. Among them was Adonias, the fourth son of Davi, who saw himself as the natural heir to the throne. Handsome, charismatic, and backed by influential figures like Job, the commander of the army, and Abiathar, the high priest, Adonias began to position himself as the next king. Adonias' confidence grew to the point where he organized a grand feast at the Stone of Zohelit, inviting all his brothers, except Salomão, and other key leaders of Israel. It was a bold move, a public declaration of his claim to the throne. But Adonias had made a critical mistake. He had overlooked the quiet but determined support that Salomão had been gathering behind the scenes. Enter Bathsheba, Salomão's mother, and the prophet Nathan. These two figures would play pivotal roles in ensuring that Salomão's destiny was fulfilled. Bathsheba, ever the astute and courageous woman, approached Davi with a reminder of the oath he had sworn to her, that Salomão would be his successor. Her words carried the weight of a promise made not just to her, but to God. Nathan, the prophet who had once confronted Davi about his sin with Bathsheba, also stepped in. He warned Davi of Adonias' actions and urged him to act swiftly to confirm Salomão as king. Nathan's intervention was crucial. It was a reminder that God's plan for Salomão could not be thwarted by human ambition. Davi, though weakened by age, acted decisively. He summoned Zadok, the priest Benaias, the commander of his personal guard, and other loyal supporters. Together, they carried out a secret anointing ceremony for Salomão at the Gin Spring, a sacred site just outside Jerusalem. Salomão was placed on Davi's own mule, a symbolic gesture that signaled his legitimacy as the chosen heir. The sound of trumpets and the shouts of "Long live King Salomão" echoed through the city, reaching the ears of Adonias and his guests at their feast. The news struck like a thunderbolt. Adonias' supporters quickly dispersed, realizing that the tide had turned against them. Adonias himself fled to the altar, seeking refuge and mercy from a new king. Salomão, in an act of wisdom and grace, spared his half-brother's life, but the message was clear. The throne belonged to Salomão. Salomão's succession was not just a political victory. It was fulfillment of divine will. It marked the beginning of a new era for Israel, one that would be defined by peace, prosperity, and unparalleled wisdom. Yet, it also serves as a reminder of the challenges that come with leadership and the importance of having trusted allies who can help navigate the storms of ambition and rivalry. As we reflect on Salomão's rise to power, we see a young man who was thrust into a position of immense responsibility, supported by a mother who believed in his destiny and a prophet who upheld God's plan. It's a story that resonates with anyone who has faced obstacles on the path to their calling. Stay with us as we continue to explore how Salomão's reign unfolded, and how his early challenges shaped the legacy of a king whose wisdom still inspires us today. For reign and administration, his reign lasted about 40 years. Salomão reorganized Israel into 12 districts and led a prosperous government with extensive military and commercial success. Salomão's reign, which spanned approximately 40 years, is often referred to as the Golden Age of Israel. It was a time of unprecedented peace, prosperity, and innovation, marked by visionary leadership and meticulous administration. Under Salomão's rule, Israel transformed from a war-torn kingdom into a thriving empire, admired and respected by nations far and wide. One of Salomão's first acts as king was to reorganize the kingdom's administrative structure. He divided Israel into 12 districts, each responsible for providing resources and support to the central government for 1 month of the year. This system not only streamlined governance, but also fostered unity among the tribes, ensuring that the burden of maintaining the kingdom was shared equally. Each district was overseen by a governor, appointed by Salomão, who reported directly to him. This efficient structure allowed Salomão to maintain control over a vast and diverse kingdom while promoting economic growth and stability. Salomão's administration was a model of efficiency and innovation. He established a network of officials, including scribes, record-keepers, and advisors, who helped him manage the kingdom's affairs. His court became a center of wisdom and learning, attracting scholars, diplomats, and traders from across the known world. Salomão's ability to delegate and trust his advisors was a key factor in his success, allowing him to focus on larger strategic goals. One of the hallmarks of Salomeo's reign was his commitment to building a strong and secure nation. He fortified key cities, including Jerusalem, Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer, constructing massive walls, gates, and storage facilities. These cities served as both military strongholds and economic hubs, ensuring the kingdom's defense and prosperity. Salomão also maintained a powerful army, equipped with chariots and horses, which served as a deterrent to potential invaders. Remarkably, despite his military strength, Salomeo's reign was largely peaceful, a testament to his diplomatic skills and the respect he commanded among neighboring nations. But it was in the realm of commerce that Salomão truly excelled. He leveraged Israel's strategic location at the crossroads of major trade routes to establish a thriving economy. Salomão formed alliances with powerful nations, including Egypt and Phoenicia, and negotiated lucrative trade agreements that brought immense wealth to Israel. Gold, silver, ivory, exotic animals, and rare woods flowed into the kingdom, enriching both the royal treasury and the people. One of Salomão's most famous commercial ventures was his partnership with Hiram, king of Tyre. Together, they launched maritime expeditions to distant lands, including Ophir, a region renowned for its gold. These voyages not only brought back vast treasures, but also established Israel as a major player in international trade. Salomão's fleet of ships, manned by skilled sailors, became a symbol of his kingdom's prosperity and ambition. Yet, Salomão's reign was not without its challenges. The cost of maintaining such a vast and luxurious kingdom was high, and the burden of taxation and labor fell heavily on the people. While Salomão's wisdom and leadership brought unparalleled success, they also sowed the seeds of discontent that would later lead to division. Despite these challenges, Salomão's reign remains a shining example of what can be achieved through wise leadership, strategic planning, and a commitment to excellence. His ability to balance military strength, economic innovation, and administrative efficiency created a legacy that would be remembered for generations. As we delve deeper into the story of Salomão, we see a king who not only built an empire of wealth and power, but also laid the foundation for a nation's identity. His reign challenges us to think about the kind of legacy we want to leave behind and the values that should guide our leadership. Stay with us as we explore the next chapter of Salomão's extraordinary life. The construction of the First Temple, a project that would define his reign and forever change the spiritual landscape of Israel. 5. Wealth and diplomacy. Salomão became one of the richest rulers, controlling trade routes and establishing alliances with foreign nations, including Tyre and Egypt. Salomão's reign was not just a time of wisdom and justice. It was also an era of unparalleled wealth and strategic diplomacy. Through his visionary leadership, Salomão transformed Israel into a global powerhouse, controlling key trade routes and forging alliances that brought immense prosperity to his kingdom. His ability to navigate the complex world of international relations while amassing incredible riches is a testament to his genius as a ruler. At the heart of Salomão's success was his mastery of trade. Israel's geographic location, situated at the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe, made it a natural hub for commerce. Salomão recognized his potential and capitalized on it with remarkable skill. He established control over critical trade routes, including the Via Maris, which connected Egypt to Mesopotamia, and the King's Highway, which linked the Arabian Peninsula to Syria. These routes became the lifeblood of Israel's economy, bringing in a steady flow of goods, gold, and exotic treasures. One of Salomão's most significant partnerships was with Hiram, the king of Tyre. Tyre, a Phoenician city-state renowned for its seafaring expertise, became a key ally in Salomão's quest for wealth. Together, they launched ambitious maritime expeditions to distant lands, including Ophir, a region famous for its gold. These voyages, carried out by a fleet of ships manned by skilled Tyrian sailors, brought back not only gold but also silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks, luxuries that had never before been seen in Israel. The alliance with Tyre also extended to construction of the First Temple in Jerusalem. Hiram provided Salomão with the finest cedar and cypress wood from Lebanon, as well as skilled craftsmen to assist in the project. In return, Salomão supplied Tyre with wheat, olive oil, and other agricultural products, creating a mutually beneficial relationship that strengthened both nations. Salomão's diplomatic prowess extended beyond Tyre. He also formed a strategic alliance with Egypt, one of the most powerful nations of the time. To seal this alliance, Salomão married the daughter of Pharaoh, a union that not only secured peace with Egypt, but also opened the door to new trade opportunities. The marriage brought with it a dowry of gold, silver, and the city of Gezer, which Salomão fortified as a key military and economic outpost. But Salomão's wealth was not just a result of trade and alliances. It was also a reflection of his innovative approach to governance. He established a system of taxation that ensured a steady flow of resources to the royal treasury. Each of the 12 districts he had created was responsible for providing provisions for the king and his household for 1 month of the year. This system not only funded Salomão's ambitious projects, but also ensured that the burden of taxation was distributed fairly across the kingdom. Salomão's wealth was legendary. The Bible describes his throne as being made of ivory overlaid with gold, with 6 steps leading up to it, each flanked by golden lions. His palace was adorned with precious stones, and his table was set with gold and silver vessels. Even his drinking cups were made of gold, a symbol of his unparalleled prosperity. Yet, Salomão's wealth was not just for show. It was a tool for maintaining peace and stability. By establishing strong alliances and controlling trade routes, Salomão ensured that Israel remained secure and prosperous. His ability to balance wealth and diplomacy set a standard for leadership that would be admired for centuries. As we reflect on Salomão's achievements in wealth and diplomacy, we see a ruler who understood the importance of relationships, innovation, and strategic thinking. His legacy challenges us to think about how we can use our resources and influence to create a better world. Stay with us as we explore the next chapter of Salomão's extraordinary reign. The construction of the first temple, a project that will become the crowning jewel of his kingdom and a symbol of God's presence among his people. 6 construction projects. He is most famous for building the Temple of Jerusalem, which required significant labor, including forced work from both Israelites and Canaanites. Among Salomão's many achievements, none stands out more than the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. This monumental project was not just a feat of engineering and architecture. It was a spiritual and national endeavor that would define Salomão's reign and leave an indelible mark on the history of Israel. The idea of building a temple to house the Ark of the Covenant had been a dream of Salomão's father, King Davi. However, God had told Davi that it would be his son who would carry out the sacred task. When Salomão ascended the throne, he made it his mission to fulfill this divine promise. The temple would serve as the dwelling place of God on earth, a center of worship, and a symbol of Israel's covenant with the Almighty. The construction of the temple was a massive undertaking that required unprecedented resources, labor, and coordination. Salomão began by forming a partnership with Hiram, king of Tyre, who supplied the finest materials for the project. Cedar and cypress wood from the forest of Lebanon were transported to Jerusalem, along with skilled craftsmen who worked alongside Israelite artisans. The stones for the temple were quarried and shaped off-site to ensure that the construction site remained silent and reverent. The temple's design was awe-inspiring. It was built on Mount Moriah, the site where Davi had once offered sacrifices to God. The structure itself was relatively modest in size, about 90 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 45 feet high, but its beauty and craftsmanship were unparalleled. The interior was lined with cedar wood, overlaid with gold, and adorned with intricate carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and flowers. The Holy of Holies, the innermost sanctuary, housed the Ark of the Covenant and was considered the most sacred space in the temple. The construction of the temple required a vast workforce, and Salomão organized this labor with remarkable efficiency. He instituted a system of forced labor, drafting both Israelites and Canaanites to work on the project. While the Israelites were primarily used for skilled labor and oversight, the Canaanites were tasked with the heavier, more labor-intensive work. This system, though controversial, allowed Salomão to complete the temple in just 7 years, a testament to his organizational skills and determination. But the temple was not Salomão's only construction project. He also built a magnificent palace for himself, which took 13 years to complete. The palace complex included the House of the Forest of Lebanon, a grand hall supported by cedar pillars, the Hall of Pillars, used for public gatherings, and the Hall of the Throne, where Salomão administered justice. These structures were not just symbols of Salomon's wealth and power. They were also centers of governance and diplomacy, where foreign dignitaries and ambassadors were received. In addition to the temple and his palace, Salomão undertook numerous infrastructure projects throughout the kingdom. He fortified key cities, including Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer, building walls, gates, and storage facilities to protect and sustain the population. He also constructed a network of roads and trade routes, facilitating commerce and communication across the kingdom. The construction projects of Salomon's reign were more than just buildings. They were expressions of his vision for Israel. They reflected his commitment to creating a nation that was prosperous, secure, and deeply connected to its spiritual roots. Yet, these projects also came at a cost. The heavy burden of labor and taxation placed on the people would later contribute to discontent and division within the kingdom. As we reflect on Salomon's construction legacy, we see a king who was both a visionary and a pragmatist. His ability to dream big and execute those dreams with precision is a lesson in leadership and determination. The Temple of Jerusalem, in particular, stands as a timeless reminder of what can be achieved when faith, wisdom, and hard work come together. Stay with us as we explore the next chapter of Salomon's story, a chapter that delves into the complexities of his reign, the challenges he faced, and the lessons we can learn from his triumphs and failures. 7. Wisdom and writings. Salomon's wisdom is a defining characteristic, exemplified in the biblical story of his judgment in the case of 2 women and a baby. He also authored many proverbs and is credited with writing parts of the Bible, including Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. Salomon's wisdom is the cornerstone of his legacy, a gift that set him apart not only as a ruler, but as a thinker, teacher, and writer. His ability to discern truth, make just decisions, and impart timeless lessons has made him a figure of enduring fascination and admiration. From the famous story of 2 women and a baby to profound writings attributed to him, Salomon's wisdom continues to inspire and guide people across generations. One of the most iconic examples of Salomon's wisdom is the story of the 2 women who came before him, each claiming to be the mother of the same baby. The case seemed impossible to resolve. There were no witnesses, no evidence, and both women were equally insistent. But Salomão, with his divine gift of discernment, devised a brilliant solution. He called for a sword and declared that the baby should be cut in half, with each woman receiving an equal portion. The reaction of the women revealed the truth. One woman agreed to the gruesome proposal, while the other immediately offered to give up her claim to save the child's life. Salomão, recognizing the selfless love of the true mother, awarded her the baby. This judgment not only showcased his wisdom, but also demonstrated his deep understanding of human nature and his commitment to justice. Salomon's wisdom extended far beyond the courtroom. He was a prolific writer and thinker, credited with authoring much of the biblical books of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Solomon. These writings offer a window into his mind, revealing a man who grappled with the complexities of life, the pursuit of meaning, and the nature of God. The Book of Proverbs is perhaps Salomon's most famous contribution. It is a collection of sayings and teachings that offer practical advice on everything from relationships and work to morality and faith. Proverbs emphasizes the importance of wisdom, describing it as more valuable than gold or silver. It encourages readers to seek understanding, live with integrity, and fear the Lord, a theme that runs throughout Salomon's writings. Ecclesiastes, on the other hand, present a more philosophical and reflective side of Salomão. In this book, he explores the meaning of life, questioning the value of wealth, power, and pleasure. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity, he declares, capturing the fleeting nature of human achievements. Yet, amidst this existential searching, Ecclesiastes ultimately points to a higher purpose, to fear God and keep his commandments. The Song of Solomon, often interpreted as an allegory of divine love, showcases Salomon's poetic brilliance. It is a lyrical celebration of love and intimacy, filled with vivid imagery and emotional depth. Whether read as a romantic poem or a spiritual allegory, it reflects Salomon's ability to capture the beauty and complexity of human experience. Salomon's wisdom was not just for his own benefit. It was a gift he shared with the world. People from distant lands traveled to Jerusalem to hear his teachings and seek his counsel. The Queen of Sheba, for example, journeyed from her kingdom to test Salomão's wisdom with difficult questions. She left in awe, declaring that his wisdom and wealth far exceeded even reports she had heard. Yet, Salomão's story is also a cautionary tale. Despite his unparalleled wisdom, he was not immune to human flaws. His many wives and concubines, though politically advantageous, led him astray, and he began to worship their foreign gods. This disobedience brought consequences, both for Salomão and for the kingdom he had worked so hard to build. As we reflect on Salomão's wisdom and writings, we see a man who sought to understand the world and his place in it. His teachings challenge us to pursue wisdom, live with integrity, and seek a deeper relationship with God. They remind us that true wisdom is not just about knowledge. It's about how we apply that knowledge to our lives and the lives of others. Stay with us as we explore the final chapters of Salomão's story, a story of triumphs and failures, of wisdom and folly, and of a legacy that continues to shape our understanding of leadership, faith, and the human condition. 8. Marriage and idolatry. Salomão had 700 wives and 300 concubines, which led to idolatry and the worship of foreign gods. His marriages were often politically motivated. Salomão's reign, marked by unparalleled wisdom and prosperity, also carries a sobering lesson about the dangers of compromise and the consequences of straying from one's principles. Despite his divine gift of wisdom, Salomão's life took a tragic turn due to his many marriages and the idolatry they introduced into Israel. This chapter of his story serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of prioritizing political alliances over spiritual fidelity. Salomão's marriages were, in many ways, a reflection of his diplomatic strategy. In the ancient world, marriages between royal families were a common way to secure peace treaties and strengthen alliances. Salomão took this practice to an extreme, marrying 700 wives and taking 300 concubines. These women came from powerful nations, including Egypt, Moab, Ammon, Edom, and Sidon. Each marriage was a calculated move to solidify relationships with neighboring kingdoms and ensure Israel's security and prosperity. For a time, this strategy seemed to work. Salomão's kingdom enjoyed peace and stability, and his wealth and influence grew. However, these marriages came at a steep cost, one that Salomão, in all his wisdom, failed to fully anticipate. Many of his wives brought with them their own religious practices and idols, and Salomão, in an effort to please them, allowed these foreign gods to be worshipped in Israel. The Bible tells us that Salomão built high places for the worship of Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Molech, the god of the Ammonites. These acts of idolatry were a direct violation of God's commandments, which explicitly forbade the worship of other gods. Salomão's actions not only angered God, but also set a dangerous precedent for people of Israel, leading them away from their covenant with the Almighty. The consequences of Salomão's idolatry were severe. God appeared to him twice, warning him of the dangers of turning away from his commands. Yet, Salomão's heart was swayed by his love for his foreign wives, and he continued to indulge their religious practices. This disobedience would ultimately lead to the division of his kingdom after his death. Salomão's story is a poignant reminder of the tension between worldly success and spiritual integrity. His marriages, though politically advantageous, became a snare that led him away from the very wisdom that had defined his reign. It's a lesson that resonates deeply, especially in a world where compromise often seems like the path to success. As we reflect on this chapter of Salomão's life, we are challenged to consider the choices we make and the values we prioritize. Are we willing to compromise our principles for short-term gain? Or will we remain steadfast in our commitment to what is right, even when it comes at a cost? Salomão's legacy is a complex one, a tapestry of wisdom and folly, triumph and failure. Yet, even in his downfall, there are lessons to be learned. His story reminds us that true success is not measured by wealth, power, or political alliances, but by our faithfulness to God and our commitment to living with integrity. Stay with us as we explore the final chapters of Salomão's reign, a time of reflection, repentance, and an enduring impact of his life on the history of Israel and the world. 9. Decline and judgment. Despite his wisdom and wealth, Salomão's later years were marked by spiritual decline, and his actions angered God, resulting in the eventual division of the kingdom after his death. Even the wisest and most prosperous rulers are not immune to the consequences of their choices. And Salomeo's story is a powerful testament to this truth. Despite his unparalleled wisdom, immense wealth, and divine favor, Salomeo's later years were marked by spiritual decline and the heavy weight of God's judgment. This chapter of his life serves as a sobering reminder of the dangers of complacency, compromise, and straying from one's spiritual foundation. As Salomão grew older, the cracks in his once great reign began to show. His many marriages to foreign women, though politically strategic, led him down a path of idolatry and spiritual compromise. These women, who came from nations that worshipped other gods, brought their religious practices into Israel. Salomão, in an effort to please them, not only tolerated their idolatry, but actively participated in it. He built high places for the worship of Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Molech, the god of the Ammonites, deities associated with practices that were abhorrent to God. This idolatry was a direct violation of the covenant between God and Israel. God had explicitly warned the Israelites against worshiping other gods, and Salomão's actions were a blatant disregard of this command. Despite God's warnings, delivered through two direct appearances to Salomão, the king's heart grew increasingly distant from the Lord. His love for his foreign wives and his desire to maintain political alliances overshadowed his commitment to God. The consequences of Salomão's spiritual decline were severe. God, who had once blessed Salomão with wisdom, wealth, and peace, now pronounced judgment on his kingdom. In a dramatic revelation, God told Salomão that because he had turned away and not kept his covenant, the kingdom would be torn from him. However, out of respect for Davi, Salomão's father, this division would not occur during Salomão's lifetime. Instead, it would happen under the reign of his son, Roboam. This judgment was not just a personal tragedy for Salomão. It was a national catastrophe. The United Kingdom of Israel, which Davi had fought to establish and Salomão had built into a global power, would be divided into two, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. This division would lead to centuries of conflict, weakening the nation and ultimately contributing to its downfall. Salomão's later years were a stark contrast to the glory of his early reign. The man who had once been the wisest and most prosperous king in history now faced the consequences of his choices. His story is a poignant reminder that no amount of wisdom, wealth, or success can shield us from the consequences of turning away from God. Yet, even in this dark chapter, there are lessons to be learned. Salomão's life challenges us to examine our own priorities and the choices we make. Are we pursuing success at the expense of our spiritual integrity? Are we allowing the pressures of the world to lead us away from our commitment to God? Salomão's story also offers a glimmer of hope. In the book of Ecclesiastes, written in his later years, Salomão reflects on the emptiness of a life lived apart from God. Fear God and keep his commandments, he concludes, for this is the whole duty of man. These words, penned by a man who had experienced both the heights of success and the depths of failure, serve as a timeless reminder of what truly matters. As we reflect on Salomão's decline and judgment, we are reminded of the importance of staying true to our spiritual foundation. His life is a testament to the fact that true wisdom is not just about knowledge or achievement. It's about living in alignment with God's will. Stay with us as we explore the final chapter of Salomão's story, a legacy that continues to shape our understanding of leadership, faith, and the human condition. 10. Legacy. While his reign ended in turmoil, Salomão's legacy is remembered for construction of the temple, his contributions to wisdom literature, and his influence on Israel's place in the ancient world. Salomão's reign may have ended in turmoil, but his legacy is one of profound and lasting significance. Despite his flaws and the spiritual decline that marked his later years, Salomão's contributions to Israel's history, culture, and spirituality are undeniable. His life is a tapestry of triumphs and failures, wisdom and folly, and his legacy continues to shape our understanding of leadership, faith, and the human condition. At the heart of Salomão's legacy is the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. This magnificent structure, built to house the Ark of the Covenant and serve as the dwelling place of God, was the crowning achievement of his reign. The temple was not just a building. It was a symbol of Israel's covenant with God and a center of worship for the nation. Its construction required immense resources, skilled labor, and visionary leadership, all of which Salomão provided. The temple stood as a testament to Salomon's ability to unite the people of Israel in a shared spiritual mission, and its legacy endured long after his death, shaping the religious identity of the Jewish people for centuries. Salomon's wisdom is another cornerstone of his legacy. His famous judgment in the case of the two women and the baby is just one example of his extraordinary ability to discern truth and administer justice. But his wisdom extended far beyond the courtroom. Salomon's writings, including the books of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Solomon, are timeless works that continue to inspire and guide people today. Proverbs offers practical advice for living a life of integrity and wisdom, while Ecclesiastes reflects on the meaning of life and the importance of fearing God. The Song of Solomon, with its poetic celebration of love, reminds us of the beauty and complexity of human relationships. Together, these writings reveal a man who grappled with the big questions of life and sought to share his insights with others. Salomon's reign also had a profound impact on Israel's place in the ancient world. Through his diplomatic alliances, trade partnerships, and military strength, he elevated Israel to a position of prominence and influence. His marriage to the daughter of Pharaoh, his partnership with Hero of Tyre, and his control of key trade routes brought wealth and stability to the kingdom. Salomon's ability to navigate the complex world of international relations set a standard for leadership that will be admired for generations. Yet, Salomon's legacy is not without its complexities. His many marriages and the idolatry they introduced into Israel ultimately led to the division of the kingdom after his death. This division, which resulted in the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah, weakened the nation and set the stage for centuries of conflict. Salomon's story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of compromise and the consequences of straying from one's spiritual foundation. Despite these challenges, Salomon's legacy endures as a reminder of the power of wisdom, the importance of faith, and the impact of visionary leadership. His life challenges us to pursue excellence, seek wisdom, and remain faithful to our principles, even in the face of temptation and adversity. As we reflect on Salomon's legacy, we are reminded that true greatness is not just about achievements or success. It's about the lasting impact we have on the world and the values we pass on to future generations. Salomon's story is a testament to the complexity of the human experience and the enduring power of a life lived with purpose and intention. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life and legacy of King Salomon. May his story inspire you to seek wisdom, live with integrity, and leave a legacy that endures.